Hello and welcome to this video where we're going to take a look at the state ed website for the new computer science and digital fluency standards. You'll notice up here in the Omnibox, the actual address is nysed.gov/curriculum instruction/computer science and digital fluency learning standards. This link is also located in your Canvas page. As we explore these concept areas over the next few courses, we're going to be coming back to the site quite often just to take a look at what is available here. For now, we're going to be looking at just the impacts of computing as far as the first concept area in this course that you're currently in. So on this website, you're going to see some really great information to help you understand what the standards are and give you some resources to help in the rollout and the implementation. Below this chart, you're going to see that there are the standards. The first link is a PDF of the standards. It's broken down into giving you some introduction information, some background, understanding the process of how the standards came to be. There'll be some definitions for you, and then you'll be able to learn how to read the standards and actually see the standards as far as what they are. Below that first link, your second link is going to be a glossary of terms. These are going to be different vocabulary words that you're going to want to build on a K-12 scale to make sure that we're understanding the different vocabulary that is used in these standards as we're going through and implementing them in our classrooms. Below the glossary, there is an Excel version of the standards. This is great because you can download it as an editable version, and then you can use this as you're doing your curriculum mapping. Below that section, we're going to get to the next section that says Learning Standards by Grade Band. Here, you're going to be able to take a look at your grade bands. So you'll notice that the way the standards are set up are K1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, and 9, 12. Each of these grade bands give you the same set of standards for that area. So K1, you have the same set of standards. 2, 3 will have their own set of standards, and so on. Please note that if you do teach one of the subjects or one of the grade levels that is above or below or has standards above or below, you probably want to take a look and see what they're coming up knowing and then what they need to know when they leave your classroom. So you can take a peek at those learning standards. Underneath the learning standards by grade band, you have your standards examples. This is a fabulous document for you to see what these standards could look like in action. All of these activities were put together by educators across the state, and they're ones that are going to give you some ideas or maybe spark an idea on how these standards could look in your classroom. So you'll see that they'll list the standard identifier, which we'll go over on how to read that in the next video. And then you'll see different examples on this page. So you're going to be able to take a look and see some examples. There's at least one example for each standard. Below the examples, you have your at-a-glance standards document. So after you've done your deep dive into the standards and you really just want to have a snapshot, this is going to give you that snapshot by standards in their grade band. So let's take a look at the 9 through 12 for this one. You'll notice that you have the impacts of computing standards all listed at the top here in the blue section for impacts of computing. Here, you're not going to see the clarifying statements. You're just going to see that first standard sentence or what the standard actually is. So this is a great place for you to kind of take a look and see what it is that you need to know for each concept area. Below the at-a-glance documents, you do have Educator Resources. There are some Smart Start programs that you can take a look at on this webpage that are going to give you ideas as far as how the standards are being rolled out in different schools across the state. You'll be able to get some resources and access some great materials for you to use as you're rolling them out in your schools. So this is a great resource page for you to bookmark and come back to quite often. On the left-hand side of your screen, in the blue box, you have the page that we're currently on, and then there is an implementation timeline and roadmap. Inside this timeline and roadmap, you're going to see that we are in the area of initial implementation. Nope, I take that back. We are in capacity building. I'm jumping ahead in the time of the year. So right now we're talking about focusing on curriculum development, resource acquisition, and professional development. When we get to initial implementation as of September, That's when we're going to be looking at all credit-bearing computer science courses being aligned to these standards. And then for the rest of us, it will be continuing that capacity building. For everyone across the state, in September 2024, we're looking at full implementation of these standards in grade bands K through 12. After the timeline, you do have an implementation roadmap. This is going to give you some information on how you facilitate this rollout. It's going to talk about the stakeholders for each part of this process. So please take a look at that. And then you also have an editable version that's going to help you as you're planning out your rollout. Back in the blue bar along the left side, after the implementation timeline, there is the standard development process. This is going to show you how these standards came about. It'll give you a list of the authors statewide that worked to put these standards together. You're going to see the FAQs. This is going to be some frequently asked questions about the standards, so it'll help clarify some of the things you might be wondering. There is also an area for the computer science statement of continued eligibility. So if you're wondering what we're talking about when we're talking about the credit-bearing courses, you're going to see the list of the acceptable computer science courses and find out how you can be eligible for the statement of continued eligibility for those credit-bearing courses. Below that is the Smart Start artifacts that you saw at the bottom of the page. They're also listed on the left. So please bookmark this page. This is something you'll probably come back to often. I highly recommend that you take a moment and before you go further in the course, familiarize yourself with the documents that apply to you, and take a look at the standards and the activities as we're going through.